Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today we're going to be looking at Marina Shutup's video about privilege for her segment Feminist Fridays.
Today we're going to talk about privilege and what privilege means. In our culture, we're taught to see things like gender, sexuality, race, and class as something that puts people at a disadvantage.
Well, I would agree that we're taught some of these things. I mean, we're taught that women are disadvantaged over men, but I'm not sure that's the case anymore. How has anyone proven that women have it better than men or men have it better than women if no one's actually lived both sets of lives? For other things, however, I'd say that they're fairly evident. It's fairly easy for me to understand how a black man might be disadvantaged because he's got most, if not all, the problems I have, but in addition, he's got to tackle with racism.
AKA, people of color are more disadvantaged than white people on the basis of their skin color.
Well, I would say that some people of color are more disadvantaged than white people. If we look at the 2013 Census Bureau findings on median household income based on race, we see that Asians are way ahead of everyone.
Or poor people are more disadvantaged than rich people. But in doing this, we often fail to recognize the areas in which we're privileged.
I agree, most people are blissfully unaware of their own privilege. And that's because people are more apt to recognize the things that are burdens rather than the things that are helpful. But I'd point out that this is true for everyone. That includes men, women, people of color, people of different genders, etc. Every lifestyle carries advantages and disadvantages. In some instances, the balance is way off, with either there being more advantages or there being more disadvantages. But this requires evaluation, not merely assertion.
As a predominantly straight cisgender person who comes from a middle class family and is able to attend college, I have privilege because of my sexual orientation, because my gender identity and expression matches my biological sex, and because of my class and my access to education. I'm also able bodied and relatively thin, so I don't have to deal with ableism or body shaming.
So, this is the issue that most people have with the word privilege. To you, privilege is not only the things that disadvantage you throughout your life, but also the personal feelings that come along with the choices you've made. I mean, if you're fat and you're being body shamed, there's an easy way to remedy that. It's called not giving a fuck what other people think.
However, I don't benefit from white privilege because even though I'm half white, when people look at me, they generally don't see me as a white person.
I don't know, you look awfully white to me, and I'm white, so I should be an expert, right?
Because I'm mixed race and exotic. And as a woman, I also don't benefit from male privilege.
Oh, yeah, totally, because women have absolutely no advantages over men in today's society. None.
If I were to send a resume to a potential employer, they would automatically categorize me as a woman because of my first name, and then they'd look at my last name and be like, hey, this chick is Asian.
Yeah, they'd know you're Asian, and they'd pay you more money. Goddamn disadvantages.
So before they even meet me, they're already making assumptions about me based on my race and my gender.
Yeah, that you're gonna be a phenomenal employee. And probably good at math.
In my
It's not
experience,
an
it
issue
seems
of
like people
grasping,
accept the
it's an issue
idea
of
of class
evidence.
privilege the
Because
easiest
money is
because it's
integral
the
to
only form of
happiness and
oppression
well-being
that's
in our
so easily
society,
measurable to
it
them.
implies that
Either
the
you
wealthy
have
have
money
more
to pay the
advantages.
bills, or you
But
don't.
what's
Wealth
important
is
is
like
to
this
notice that
tangible thing that's
you're
very easy for
talking
people to
about the
grasp
effect
in our
wealth
modern
has
day
on our
capitalist
society,
society.
not necessarily groups of people. Because the difference between a poor man and a rich man is simply what's in his wallet. So, to be able to measure and compare groups in a way that's more than just opinion, you need to be able to account for all the advantages and disadvantages that each group has. Not only that, you must then be able to measure the effect of each advantage and disadvantage. Not an easy thing to do by any stretch of the imagination. That's right, we're just supposed to believe, not, you know, rely on numbers or facts or anything.
However, with white privilege and male privilege, people, particularly members of these dominant groups, are more resistant to understanding or believing in their existence.
Yeah, I'm totally supposed to believe what someone wrote in an essay.
It's really easy to say that sexism and racism are problems of the past when you're not directly affected by either of those things. According to Peggy McIntosh in her 1988 essay, White Privilege and Male Privilege,
Wait. Let me guess.
I have come to see
There are going to
white
be
privilege
points
as an
like,
invisible
there's a
package
wider
of unearned
selection of
assets that I can
cosmetics
count
for
on
my
cashing
skin
in
color or
each
some
day,
such
but about which
garbage.
I was meant to remain oblivious. In her essay, she goes on to list all the various privileges that she experiences on a daily basis.
Called it!
Number 6, I can turn on the television or open the front page of the paper and see people of my race widely and positively represented. I can go shopping alone
Yes,
most of the time,
racism does
fairly well
exist.
assured that
What a
I will not
profound
be followed
revelation
or
for someone in
harassed by store
1988.
detectives. This one I find particularly relevant to what's happening in Ferguson. I did not have to educate our children to be aware of systemic racism for their own daily
Like, you're
physical
not even
protection.
evaluating what's being said in this essay. So, is it really your position that
I
a
can
white
swear or
person who
dress in
wears
secondhand
secondhand
clothes or
clothing
not
is
answer
never
letters
seen as
without having
poor,
people attribute
but
these
a black
choices to
person that
bad
wears
morals,
secondhand
poverty, or
clothing
the
is always
illiteracy of
seen
my
as
race?
poor? That's a little fucking crazy. I don't think it's that you can attain anything if you work hard enough. I think it's that through working
In
hard,
the
you will
US,
reach your
especially,
maximum
we believe
potential.
in very strongly culturally ingrained values of meritocracy and the American dream. Basically, that you can attain anything if you work hard enough.
You know, I tend to agree.
It's even so
The only
ingrained
thing
in
I
me
would
that
add
even though
is
I know it's a
that
flawed sentiment,
a
I
person's
do still
success or
believe it.
failure, the
The idea
biggest
of
cause of
meritocracy
this, or the
places the
biggest factor,
responsibility
is
of
the individual
success or lack
themselves.
of success solely on an individual rather than on the systems in place that might contribute to it.
What these examples do show, however, is that racism or the societal systems
And
that are in
people will
place
often use
are not the
examples of
prime
people who have
cause
overcome
of someone's
adversity
success
as
or failure,
slogans, as a
because
way to
people are able to
dismiss that these
overcome
systems
those.
of inequality exist, even though these examples are often rarities.
Oh, this happens, for sure. But the question is, to what degree does it happen in society?
But we
It
can't
could
ignore
either
that
be a
there are
huge
people who have been
problem
given
or it could be a
success
really
that they did
small
not work
problem.
for or earn simply on
That's
the
where
basis
the
of
work of
privilege,
feminism
and
needs
people
to
who
be
have had to
done.
work twice as hard as
There
their
needs to
fellow
be
colleagues
papers,
just to reach the same
evaluations,
status.
and reasonable methodologies to prove what's actually happening. Let me
When I think
guess.
of privilege,
Maybe
I
it's
think
because
of
the
it as a
majority of
blank
great
slate.
literature
You're
was
neutral
written by
and you
white
can
men.
craft your
And
identity in any
maybe,
way you
just
want without
maybe,
having your
these were
race,
products of
gender,
their time.
orientation, or
A time
whatever
where
be
tolerance for other
hindrance to
races
it.
and
There's a
sexual
reason why most of the
orientations
great
simply
literary
wasn't there.
classics are about straight, cisgender white men.
So white men don't have gender roles or racial culture to limit them? That's kind of an odd position for someone like you.
It's because their experience is believed to be universal. Anyone can relate to a white man because they're not limited to the confines of their race and gender.
Which then
White and
means that
straight and male
novels
and
and artwork
cisgender
about
are
men
neutral
are
identities
less
with unlimited
indicative about the human
possibilities.
experience.
However, if you're a woman or
What's that
black
about
or
unlimited
gay, you're put
potential again?
into the category of other. Novels and works of art about women are considered indicative of the greater human experience. They're tossed aside into the category of women's novels, which, don't get me wrong, is a great category to be in, but it's not taken as seriously. It's a niche category, as are black novels and LGBT novels. People tend to be categorized in the
So,
same
while I
way.
would
I want to
agree
make it clear
that
that I don't
privilege
mean to
grants
fault anyone
people
for being
additional
white or
opportunities
male
to
or
succeed,
experiencing any
I
type of
wouldn't
privilege,
agree
but we need
that
to recognize that on
privilege
the
helps to
opposite end of the spectrum, there are
overshadow
people whose
accomplishments of those with
contributions to
less
society
privilege.
are valued
Look at
less
Ted
or
Williams,
overshadowed by
who
these
was a
people who
black
hold
man who was
privilege.
homeless, a drug user, an alcoholic, None of these diminished the quality of work that he put forth and the value that society placed on those. It's important to note that
We're all
different groups
advantaged
of
in
people
some
have
way, and
different
we're refusing
advantages
to
and might be
recognize those
privileged in different ways as
advantages while
well.
perpetuating a system
Thanks
that
again for
further
watching.
disadvantages
Please be
others.
sure to
Let me know what you guys
subscribe,
thought,
share with
and
your
if you have any
friends, or
suggestions
comment.
for
It
next
is
week's
very much
video,
appreciated.
then let me know in
Have a
the
great one.
comments.